Ladies and gentlemen, this is JD Legree again. I would like to apologize for the fact that my videos tend to be long-winded. I try to be as thorough as possible for explaining why I feel the way I feel about certain things, so that causes videos to go long. So, if the length of the videos prevent you from watching them in its entirety, I do apologize for that. I will try to keep that in mind, but it's out of a desire to completely convey and completely articulate why I feel what I feel and how I came to the conclusions I came to, in an effort that somehow, some way, somebody of note comes across these videos and gets, and figures out how to game his head out of his ass and make some good games. But yeah, this channel isn't strictly about gaming. It's just one of the things I care most about. But I will do other videos about other shit. But right now, this video here is about Fight Night, because I said in my earlier videos that I was going to do videos for the decline of Madden, Fight Night, and Live. I've done Madden so far, I've done Live. Now it's time for Fight Night. Now this one here, it should be shorter because the history of the running into the ground, as I like to say, of Fight Night is only recent and is very short. So it shouldn't be a 50-minute or 60-minute video. At most it probably should be around 25. So I'm gonna shoot for less than 25 minutes. Okay. Now for my money, the Fight Night series with EA Sports was the best they had. Of all the sport games they've done, hockey, soccer, baseball, football, basketball, NASCAR, the Tiger Woods was good. Tiger Woods is good. So outside of that one, even though I don't play much of their golf games, the ones I played were good, especially the 06 one. I love the Tiger 06 one. The music was smooth and relaxing, and they embraced the arcade feel. I mean, it was great. But outside of the Tiger Woods sport ones, I love the Fight Night series. Even going back to when it was Knockout Kings. So to me, they're Knockout Kings. Fight Night series was the best thing they had as far as their sport games. Then Fight Night Champion comes along. Right? Now, Fight Night Champion is kind of curious. It's curious how the feelings about that game soured so quickly. Now, when it first came out of March of last year, it was a very, very well received game, especially the champion mode part. Now, I will admit, I loved the champion mode. The champion mode was one of the best modes of a sport game I've ever played. And the storyline is, even though it was cliche, if you've seen boxing movies, you'll know basically the storyline of champion mode. But it was very well done. It was very well done. And that last fight against Isaac Frost, which is the main antagonist in that mode, beating him is a chore. Especially if you fight on the hardest difficulty. Oh my god. Now that's a real test of your skills. Fighting Isaac Frost in the champion mode on the hardest level. Now I was able to beat him. It took a couple of attempts, but I was able to beat him. So that part alone was worth an 8 or even a 9 out of 10. I would say I would bridge the gap between an 8.5, even though I'm leaning more toward of a 9 because of how much I cannot articulate how much I enjoyed that mode. Actually, no, I will give it a 9. I won't give it a 10 because they had the rounds only. It wasn't a real 3 minutes, and actually that'll be a further complaint. That'll be one of the complaints of the game later on. And the career mode was somewhat criticized for being repetitive, meaning from earlier editions that it wasn't, much of a change, but it was still liked, and the online fighting was well liked. Then, about a few months in, is when it started hitting the fan. Especially the online part, because people in that game spam hell of a lot, and people were bitching about something. I forget what they were bitching about, and so that led to EA doing a patch to address the bitching. And then it led to the spamming. And what I mean by spamming is this. Motherfuckers would jab spam. Okay? And in this game, for some reason, if you're getting jabbed, 10, 15 in a row, your health is all the way down, you can get knocked down. Just with the jab. We're not talking about if you're fighting with somebody with Larry Holmes, whose jab was known that could knock somebody out. If you read up on Larry Holmes, they said that his jab could knock you out. So it's not like people were fighting with Larry Holmes. In fact, I don't even know if Larry Holmes was in the game originally. I don't remember. I'm not sure that he was. It's been a while since I played it and I checked it in, so I can't say yes, yeah, or nay. But, that's right. Online, you play with your creative guy, because in Fight Night, you have your photo game face, so you can put your face in the game. So that's neither here nor there anyway. Motherfuckers, besides jab spamming, they would body spam, meaning all they do is go to the body. Beyond what you would normally do in a fight, because there are fighters who are known for going to the body a lot. Like Julio Cesar Chavez was known for going to the body a lot. Oscar De La Hoya was somewhat known for going to the body a lot. There are other fighters who tend to go to the body a lot. But there's a difference between going to the body as a strategy and strictly doing that. Like, no fighter strictly goes to the body. That's what some people was doing in the online world championship part of the online, and also the head-to-head. Then you have motherfuckers, the worst of these spammers. Like, if you go into the forums, you find all different types of definitions of spammers, but most of them fall into this category. Then there are the lead right power straight spammers. Basically what it is when you create your player, you start off ass, and you earn experience points through fighting, or you could buy the experience points. That right there, the ability to buy experience points on the online portion of the game is why spamming got to be where it was. Even to this day. Like, I recently popped it in, like about a month or two ago, because I was done. Actually, I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself, but a little bit later. The ability to buy the experience points is what led to the spamming, because a person could buy a package of 50,000 points. Yeah, you could buy a package of 50,000 experience points, and you could make your power hand a 20. You know, a lot of people did that with their lead right, and so that would, and so that's not the, that's not what I consider spamming. You know, it's only natural to make your, what you feel is your best punch your most, you know, deadliest. So I have no problem with that. But the fact that what made it a problem is motherfuckers who, this is where the sidestep spam came from. Or there's a sidestep. So that's all they would do. You would get close, they sidestep, haymaker, straight right. You come close again, sidestep to the left this time, haymaker, straight right. You try to close the distance, backstep, haymaker, straight right. So no boxing, like, you know, no getting the angles right, no keeping the distance, or no closing the ring off, no strategy at all. Just make a miss, straight right, make a miss, straight right, backstep, straight right. Then there were the guys who would do that sidestep uppercut. They called them the stepper cut, because that's all they would do was sidestep uppercut, sidestep uppercut, sidestep uppercut. And in this game, when you make somebody miss, that opens up to a counter window. And so that's why these guys got called spammers, because that's why they were doing the sidestepping, backstepping, so they can make you miss, get that counter punch window, so they can punch you, and their punch would be more effective. And you do that a couple of times around, and you would automatically get the round. So, like, again, this is somewhat a, well, it's not, well, it's a review and a detailing of Fight Night Champion. Because I don't think I'm going to go into the history of Fight Night, because again, Fight Night up until this one was good, so there's really no reason to go into why Fight Night was great, because a lot of people liked it, so it didn't have the history of going down like the other two did. So again, motherfuckers kept stepper cutting, you know, stepper cutting their steps, step straight right and shit. And then you had the hula hoopers, and that refers to them, you know, doing their bobbing and weaving quick as a bitch. All right, so they can make you miss, so they can get that, you know, counter punch. They get your stamina down, they get your health down, and those backup rounds. And so the cheesing got to the point to where people started avoiding online world championships because of all the spamming and bum hunting. Bum hunting is basically only fighting players who are ranked 1 or 2. There are 99 levels that you can get up to in Fight Night online. That's what bum hunting is. I mean the shit that goes on in that game. This may take a while, you know. This may take longer than 25 minutes to go into, but apart from the oh no, I'm sorry. Let me finish my spamming point. And the reason why these motherfuckers would be able to get away with that is because they wouldn't suffer a penalty for it. Like, their arm wouldn't get tired. The only thing that would happen, that you could rely on if you're dealing with a spammer, is you hope that your chin and heart is good enough to where if you get knocked down a couple times, you can stick around long enough to last long, because since you're always doing that shit, you know, and they miss a lot, but the times they don't miss is what gives them the rounds or knocks you down. You hope that you do that long enough to where his person starts tiring out, and you're able to close the distance. You're able to get close to the guy, and you're able to start going to work on him. And people want to, apparently they wanted that shit to be stopped. Because that's not real boxing. When you watch a real boxing fight, you don't see somebody. You don't see that shit. And they let that shit in the game. And they couldn't fix it. It's like they refused to address that, because the original patch, because from what I've read, the gameplay release date online was fine. Then I forget what people bitched about, and they made a patch, and then it led to the spam war. But again, I accuse the ability to purchase spam. Purchase the experience points for your punches and your chin and your heart and your stamina to lead to the spam. Because instead of taking the time to get good at the game and earn the experience points, you could basically just purchase a complete fighter right out the gate. And even though you may say, well, since everybody could do it, what's the problem? Well, first of all, not everybody has the money to be buying, $20, $30 worth of experience points. So think about that. So not only do you buy the game at 60 plus full price, now I did like $10 to $20 for the higher amounts of experience points. So now, if you wanted to get your fighter good, like if you were to take the guy that you use for your offline career mode and put him online, you get 50,000 points, and that makes your guy serviceable. Starting out. But if you wanted to be at his absolute best, then you would have to buy experience points before you started fighting. And if you don't have the cash to do that, or you don't have a bank account or whatever, then you're stuck fighting these motherfuckers who cheat. But again, so instead of your game just costing $64, now it's costing 70 plus, 80 plus, because you got to buy experience points. Now, the spamming is so bad. Spamming is so bad in the online World Championship. Now I'll go into why I stopped. I'm pretty decent in Fight Night. I'm pretty good. When people box me, either online or offline, I'm tough. I'm tough to beat. I'm not unbeatable. And most of my losses in the online World Championship and head-to-head came to spammers. Very rarely did I lose because somebody just, outright beat me. Very rarely. And so, to give you a background on what's going on, I do the middleweight online World Championships. And this is probably my mistake, because see, I didn't know this. But in the middleweight part of the online World Championship, this is where spamming is the worst from everything I've seen in the forums and whatnot. They have motherfuckers who create 6'2", 82-inch reach. They're 6 feet 2 inches tall, 82-inch reach middleweights at the highest weight that you can be as a middleweight. So basically, you're creating a heavyweight height and reach at middleweight. Now, In the history of boxing, there have been very few guys who've had 82-inch reach. George Foreman is 6'7", and his reach is 80 inches. Now, George Foreman can be 6 feet 7 inches tall and have an inch reach of 80 inches. And he was a bona fide, full-blown heavyweight. Now, how the hell can Fight Night allow people to have their creative fighters at middleweight be 6 feet 2 inches with an 82-inch reach? What does this lead to? It leads to motherfuckers, to keep you at the distance so they can hula hoop, stepper cut, back step, side step, right. And it got to the point where I was 20 or so games above 500. Then I started losing almost practically every fight because during my climb, when you fight on the online world championships, they have you fight at the opponent that's closest to your online rank level. If there's nobody on your online rank level, then that's when they start going higher. And for the longest time, I was fighting guys around my rank level, and then I was fighting guys above my rank level, and even more above my rank level, and I was beating them. But then when I got to around, let's see, around rank level 15 or something, it was around there. When I started getting to more like my 40th to the 40s in fights, then that's when I started running up against spammer after spammer after spammer. And these guys talk the most shit. Like they're good. Like they're good. Like they're step spamming and hula hooping and shit. And, block spamming. I forgot, I'm sorry. I meant to talk about that one. Block spamming in Fight Night Champion is when, typically you see guys go into the Philly shell and they keep tapping the R1 button so they can keep their block strength up. So when you see this shit, that's what they're doing. They're block spamming, so you can't hit them. And then they sidestep hit you, go back to block spamming, sidestep uppercut you, go back to this, backstep hit you, go back to this, and then run from you. They keep, not moving around, keeping you at a distance. I mean, straight out running from you. You try to cut them off, and the way you cut people off in boxing is you move where they're moving. You don't just follow them. If they're moving to their right, you move to your left. If they're moving to their left, you move to your right. And that's how you cut the ring off. And that's what I do. I've always done that. So it somewhat helps the cut off, somewhat helps against the running, but it's a real hassle. If you can stick around long enough, all of that stepping and running and block spamming and shit eventually wears them down and you can beat them. But who wants to deal with that shit fight after fight? And so again, it got to the point to where I was done. And the reason why I was done was because I started playing some of the people on the Fight Night forums, and I found out they were nothing more than the ones who was talking the most trash about being in gyms and beating people and beating the high ranked players. They were nothing more than glorified spammers. And so it got to the point where it just wasn't worth it anymore. And so recently I put it in again just to see if it was just as bad as I remember, and it was. And I'll discuss the fight. Again, I don't have any video gameplay recording equipment, so I'll just tell you the best that I can to describe how the fight was. I'm fighting um I'm fighting this guy. His dude is light skinned. Not necessarily white, but light skinned. Dude, I have a microphone. I use my Bluetooth as a microphone. He has a microphone too. And from the start, he's, hula hooping. Actually, no, he didn't hula hoop. That's the only thing he didn't do. He didn't hula hoop. But he backstepped, sidestepped, ran, block spam, haymaker spam, the works. And he knocked me down a couple times. And so I'm doing my best to hang in there. I was losing the fight by a lot of rounds. Knocked me down twice. And in the online world championship, you only get 10 rounds. Now I won one round of the early rounds. I think I won round 2. But I got knocked down in the first round. I got knocked down in the 4th round. So I lost the first round, obviously. Lost the 3rd round, the 4th round, and the 5th round. So I was down about, let's see, I think the equivalent of, because when you get knocked down, you lose a point. Because when you lose a round, period, it's 10-9. When you get knocked down, it's 10-8. So you're down 2. So you're basically down 2 rounds. So I was down 2. So I was down 4 rounds because of the knockdowns. And then the 3rd round and the 5th round. So I was basically down 6 rounds going into the 6th round. Alright. So apart from that round 2 round that it showed that I won after the fight, I was in trouble. So basically my goal was just to not get knocked out. Alright. Around round 7 though, a little bit around 6, but really starting around 7, I'm able to, go to work on this guy. Like just enough to win the round. So I don't want to make it seem like I was able to do a hell of a turnaround. I was able to do just enough to start winning rounds now. Now, my guy overall was rated 89. His guy was rated 90, which I could tell, which allowed him to be as fast as he was. And I had my right straight at 20, but see, I only use my haymaker and step and hit when I actually see it, when I time it. See, I don't abuse it. I like to use combinations. I like to do my regular punches. I don't do haymakers a lot unless I make a guy miss and I had the time to do it, or if I see a person's not guarding their head, then I do a haymaker. But I don't haymaker spam at the slightest. And so round 8 comes along, and I was able to stun him. I wasn't able to knock him down. I was able to stun him, and so that gave me that round. So also while you're fighting, like after the 3rd, 6th, and 9th round, they'll show you the scorecard. And so I could see that my fighters, getting back into the fight. I was still down by 2 rounds, but I was getting back to the fight. Round 9 comes in. Alright. I had just had a good exchange with the dude, and I hit him with a 3-piece, and I'm backing up out of there, to try to conserve my stamina, because I don't just go all out, and then I'm tired. I exchange, I back out, recover some health, stamina, come back in, exchange again, come back out, catch my breath and whatnot. So I'm backing up, and he's following me. And so when he was coming toward me, following me, something in my intuition said, haymaker right, haymaker right, haymaker lead right now. So while I'm backing up, I just pow, and it was a one-punch knockout. And I mean, that shit was so satisfying. You should have heard the shit this motherfucker had been talking all throughout the fight. But when I caught him with that pow, and it was one-punch knockout, I was like, hold that, motherfucker! You spam piece of shit. How'd that feel? You talked all that fucking shit just to get knocked out, you bitch-ass motherfucker. But I was like, you know what? Even though I came away with the victory, it was just as bad as I remember it. So, almost 31 minutes right now. I think I'm going to split this up. Because, yeah, I'm going to split this up. Because one video is going to be how it got to be this bad. And the next video will be how I want it to be. How I think it should, what they should do to fix it. So, the spamming ruined the online part of the game. So the fact that they didn't address the spammers ruined the game. And then one of the fucking developers admitted that they devalued the importance of the jab. So you really couldn't box for points in this game. You couldn't jab right. Yeah, you couldn't do a 1-2 combination to victory. If your guy making you miss with the stepper cuts and shit, they'll give him the fucking round, even though you would land more punches and be a busier fighter. They would have the judges score the counter punching bullshit more than your effective clean punching. Then they took out the violence of the game, or I should say the bruising and the blood, because see, Fight Night champion was a rated M. So this allowed them to have vicious cuts and vicious swelling and shit. They patched that shit out the game, and they try to patch it back in the game. And then they took out the cornermen, basically. Because in the previous editions of Fight Night, and Fight Night, specifically Fight Night, there was a cut man corner game where you would work on the cuts, you would work on the swelling, and it would be as effective as based on your defense and the skills of your cut man. They took that completely out of the game for Fight Night champion. So now basically it just randomly decides how much you recover with stamina and bruising and cuts. You don't see nobody working on the eyes or on the cheeks or nothing. And then the rounds, you have to go into the settings and make the rounds 3 rounds. The rounds on default last about, I think, 2 minutes and 45 seconds. Maybe even less. So think about that. They released a game where the rounds weren't even 3 rounds on standard. When you fight on default settings, the rounds aren't even 3 rounds. 3 minutes long. You have to turn this shit up to 3 minutes. And when you do that, you have to turn the stamina up. Because for some fucking reason, they decided not to make the game paced to last 3-minute rounds. See, this is the kind of shit I'm talking about when it comes to EA. Who the fuck told them? Who the fuck said that? You know what? Who the fuck said that going from round 4 to Fight Night Champion? So you know what? You know what? Fight Night 4 suffered from 3-minute rounds. We're gonna make rounds less than 3 minutes. Now, see, it would have been different if they had it at 2 minutes and 30 seconds real time. But the fact is, when you start a fight, when you start a round, it'll show 3 minutes on the ticket count, and you see the seconds go by like this. That right there lets you know that there's some serious shit, lack of mental acuity out down there in Florida, where fucking EA Sports is, and also California. Yeah, I think they have a couple headquarters. Unless you actually no, this one was made by EA Canada. Sorry, this one was made by EA Canada. And that's no excuse, because I know Canada has fighters. They may not be big time names, but there's fighters come from all over the world, so there's no excuse for Canada if those guys who made it are actually from Canada. There's no excuse for that to have been bad just because they're from Canada. Then we go to the offline mode, and again, this is basically a rehash of every Fight Night from before. Nothing new, and it's even less. It's not even as good as before. Like, after a while, you become unbeatable. After a while, you know, everything gets tiring. You know, the second video I do, I will go into detail of how I think they could fix this part. But there's no sense of increasing stature outside of that fucking legacy standing list of you trying to be the greatest of all time. Outside of that, you don't get a feel that you're an all-time great. Because nobody gives you a real fight, not even on the hardest level. When you're starting out, you know, when your guy's not that good, beyond the amateur rounds, you can get some challenges, but after that, you're pretty much unbeatable. Then they only give you 220 slots of experience things to fill up. So now, in online, that's fine, because you don't want behemoths walking around. But in offline, here's what they say. In the actual game, they say you've maxed out your slots for now. So you're thinking that, okay, for now, alright, they're going to let me get the other, you know, later on. Because in the other games, if you could, they would let you max out your guy. It's most you can. If you were able to get your guy hundreds across the board, then you were able to do that. And it didn't matter, because see, it was offline. You're playing against a computer. It's not an unfair advantage. Alright? So they teased the fact that they was going to let you get the other slots to fill up, but they never did. So it's like, what's the point of limiting a person's fighter offline? What's the point of that shit? If a person wants to have a Greek god as a boxer offline against a computer, why would you stop them from being able to do that? And then there's the actual presentation. It's nothing really different. You know. Well, actually, you know what? You can tell. Actually, you know what? You can tell that that there was less attention to detail than before, because when you go for a when you get to the point where you're starting to fight for titles, in real life, they introduce a champion last as a sign of respect. They don't do that in this game. And the ring announcer is terrible in this game. You know, that they'll mention your name. Like, my name in the game is Joshua Lewis. So they won't even say Joshua the Comeback Kid Lewis. They'll just say Comeback Kid Lewis. Like, I don't have a first name. And then, let's say you go to the scorecards. You can tell whether or not you won the fight even before they say anything. Because in this game, whoever is standing on the left, like your left or the referee's right, that's who won the fight. And if you're online, if you're connected to the internet, it'll even tell you, like, you've won like you've had the most decision wins of your friends list. It'll do that. So they won't even do it on Michael Buffer style, like after 12 rounds, we go to the scorecards. Judge so and so has about let's see, 120. Yeah, so it, like so and so has it 120 to let's see, 9 times 12 is 108. Yeah. Okay, so Judge so and so has it 120 to 108. Judge so and so has it 115, 110. And Judge so and so has it 117, 113. You know, they don't even do that. They just say the winner of this fight is Comeback Kid Lewis. But he doesn't even need to say that, because if you're standing to your left, you're looking at the screen, he's standing to your left, the fighter who's standing to the left, they won the fight. So it's like, what's the point of that? You should be able to know who won a decision fight, even if it's clear that you beat the guy's ass. You shouldn't be able to know it just by where a person is standing in reference to the ref. They can't even get the entrances right. They don't even show your man walking from out of his tunnel and into the ring. They don't even do that. So they really dropped the ball on this one. They really did. I think what happened is they changed the makers. They changed makers. They went from I think EA Chicago had been making the Fight Night games. Then they went to EA Canada. They went to EA Canada, and it got fucked up. It got fucked over. Left for Dead, Distant Forgotten. Luck ran out, and now it's Gone Stiff and Rotten. That's what happened. They turned a once great franchise into a piece of shit. That's what they did. So again, yeah, I had a feeling this was going to run long, but this is part one. Part one is the gripes. Part two will be list of fixes I have, proposals. I'm not going to go into everything because well, actually I don't know. I think I will, because if somebody steals my shit, I can point to it and say, hey, I made a video about it long before this was done, and these motherfuckers stole my ideas. You can watch the videos and you can see the ideas that I go into detail about in their game, and I get no credit for it. So actually I'm going to do that, because I wish EA fucking Sports would do that shit. I wish they would try to steal my ideas. I would come up like a motherfucker. I really would. So I am going to go into detail of what needs to be in the game for it to get great, like it was before. But that's that's something. I'll never understand how EA Sports can take their own franchises and run them into the ground. Oh, another thing I'm going to talk about: the lack of fighters. See what they did to cover the fact that they didn't have a lot of licensed fighters in there was they took the fighters from the champion mode and put them in the game. So this means in the heavyweight division you got the Roy using Isaac Frost. Alright. So instead of taking every fighter that had appeared in every game, going back to when it was Knockout Kings, because if they did that, they would have had an impressive roster. Hell, they decided to use creative guys to fill out the roster. There's even a guy like Nolito Dinero or something like that, who's in a weight class by himself. So I think it's like bantamweight or something. You pick, if you go into that weight, he's the only fighter in that weight class in that game. Now what kind of shit is that? You mean tell me you couldn't get at least another person, so you can at least have two people in that weight class, not just one person by himself? And then they have fighters at different weight classes. So they got like lightweight Roberto Duran, welterweight Roberto Duran, and middleweight Roberto Duran. And that's fine. But as far as I'm concerned, if you're going to make a boxing game, you should have every fighter from the last, let's see, the Marquis de Queensberry rules came about in the 1800s, late 1800s. So basically every fighter of renown from the 1880s up until now, you should be able to have in the game. They have Jack Dempsey in the game, and he fought in the early 20th century. They have Jack Johnson in the game as downloadable content. He fought in the 1900s. So you should be able to get John L. Sullivan, James J. Braddock, Jersey Joe Walcott, Ingemar Johansson, Floyd Patterson. You should be able to get every motherfucker who either won a world belt, world title or whatever, or was known or had a decent career, like Ernie Shavers. Ernie Shavers never, I don't think he became a heavyweight champ. He was a notable fighter still. Now, one way EA attempted to alleviate this, apart from the creative fighters, is there's a boxer share in the game. So what happens is people will take a photo of a fighter and they'll upload it to their game face and put them in the game. And I gotta give these guys credit. They give those ratings, they make them fairly rated. They do a pretty good job with that. But see, here's the thing: it shouldn't take us having to do that. We basically pay you guys to make the fucking game. You should be doing that. And I understand that a lot of these guys are dead, and so you have to get permission from their family members and their state to do that. But obviously, you've got Jack Dempsey's family okay to do it, because Jack Dempsey has been on almost every fight night for Knockout Kings game I can remember. So obviously they don't have a problem with them using their dead patriarch image in a game. And you recently gloated about how much money you guys earn in each year in the billions of dollars. So how is it a problem that you can't get Aaron Pryor into the game, and Alexis Arguello into the game, and Floyd Mayweather Sr., Roger Mayweather, Hector Camacho, Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. and Jr. You know, David Tua, Ike Abuchi, Ike Partey, you know, Angel Manfredi. Hell, they can't even get Prince Nassim Hamed in the game. You know, I mean, come on, what the fuck? Speaking of Prince Nassim Hamed, he got fat as a motherfucker. I mean, wow. I mean, I saw this picture of him on Facebook. You know, because I had wondered what happened to Prince Nassim ever since he got beat by it was either Marco Antonio Barrera or yeah, it was Barrera. It was either Barrera or Morales who beat him, and he wound up getting arrested for some reason. I think something related to an airport, like trying to bring guns to an airport. And so, on a wild chance, I looked up his name on Twitter in the Twitter search, and so I clicked on one of them, and it took me to a Facebook page. And I'm like, and they showed it before and after. Like, they showed Nassim how he looked when he was fighting, and how he looked now. I was like, no, that can't be the Prince Nassim Hamed. I'm like, this guy was way too flamboyant and way too vain to let himself balloon like this. And so I'm looking at the face photos. I'm like, you know something? Like, this is motherfucker. Holy shit! You balloon like a motherfucker. I was like, wow. That just goes to show you, man. I mean, I don't know if you can tell, but I'm somewhat heavy. I'm not fat ass heavy, but I do have a lot of body fat on me. But even I haven't ballooned, you know, to the point to where, like, if you look at a picture 5 years ago of me, and you look at me now, it's like, yo, he gained a lot of weight. I mean, I have gained some weight. I mean, it is noticeable I have gained some weight, but I haven't gone from. Actually, no, I have. I was slim and trim when I was very young. And then, so you could say that from 20 years, you know, there's a difference. You know, how I looked when I was 7 or 8, when I actually had, you know, abs and whatnot, and how I look now. But even then, even compared to that, I didn't go from slim and trim to rotund, because this guy looks so fucking tired. So yeah, I think that's it as far as with the complaints about Fight Night Champion. So again, as always, I want to hear what you guys think. Do you think that I overreacting? Do you think that do you have any problems with the game itself? Do you love the game? Do you think I'm bugging? Or do you agree with what I've been saying? Again, you can leave comments down below. You can make a video response. The next video will also be about Fight Night, but instead of pointing out what's wrong with it, I will read off what I came up with to try to improve the game so it'll be great like it was before. So this is part 1 of my Fight Night Champion discussion. Stick around for part 2.